I was thinking about this when you called me up the other day, and I was like, the first time I saw Charlie Kirk was 4 or 5 years ago when what's the chick, Candace Owens, still a part of the Turning Point USA. And I don't know if they were at a black college, but they were definitely in a college where maybe it was a black student union, and the whole thing was their Get Off the Plantation campaign. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-hmm.
No,
I don't remember that. No,
they were going around with Candace Owens, and it just looked mad suspect. Charlie Kirk would be like sitting behind Candace Owens with that fucking grin, and she was talking about the Democratic Party is kind of a plantation, and she had the key to get them off the plantation, which was a pivot to the Republican Party, and she said similar things that we all say about the deficiencies within the Democratic Party, and black people generally vote Democratic. And she was saying, if you want to have a better life, you need to get off the plantation. And it was like all these testimonials, these black people coming up like, you're right. And this is around the time that she gets in Kanye's ear, and Blexit movement starts for 5 seconds before Kanye was talked down off that ledge. That's fucked up.
So good.
But that was my first introduction to Charlie Kirk, and he wasn't saying anything. He was just really, really quiet in the background, just with this menacing grin as she's getting all these black people to just like bitch about the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I remember Kanye's 5 minutes in the sunken place from Get Out, but yeah, which is awesome, right? Because it's like, okay, the Democratic Party doesn't really do anything, to help, black people. Completely true premise the Democratic Party doesn't really do anything to help poor people who are disproportionately black because of America's racial history. But it's basically a neoliberal centrist party, so of course it doesn't do anything. So what's the solution? What's the road out of the plantation? Vote for the Republican Party that's going to do even less.
And so that's why there's a talking point that it was the Democratic Party who, if I'm not mistaken, might have started the Klan.
Yeah.
Well, they were Democrats. I mean, the Democrats were the pro-slavery party.
We're talking the 1800s, and she doesn't really get into why there was a shift right after.
Yeah, Republicans freed the slaves. Lincoln was a Republican, and the Democrats were the baddies in the Civil War. Yeah,
that's a legitimate talking point that they have. And then if you look at the Great Society programs. That helped a certain portion of black people, but it's a more in-depth conversation. Definitely, we get into these conversations on the show. We're not going to get into a breaking down the Great Society programs here to prove these people wrong, but that's kind of all that she needed to get into Kanye's ear.
Yeah, I mean, the Great Society programs, as far as they went, actually did help. It's also, I always love the thing that like libertarians will do where they're like, they make it sound like the war on poverty is the war on drugs, that it's something that's been going on for decades and decades and decades and keeps getting deeper, but we never get rid of the poverty. It's like, no, there's LBJ talked about it and then nobody else did. And he created some programs, some of which have stuck around and have, blunted some of the edges of the worst forms of poverty, and some of which were like dismantled under Nixon. So like obviously,
and also she brings up the Clinton administration, which for a lot of people was more Reaganism.
First black president, dude. Didn't you know that?
Alone, she's making up for it by shitting all over him.
That's true.
I remember when people used to say that Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I remember that. My parents used to tell me that.
Hall, Ben.
Like black people love Clinton. They call him the first black president. I was like, oh, really? That's weird.
My grandma,
he's white.
Yeah,
they love him.
I also just generally love sentences that start with "black people love," because it's like that it's like the black hive mind collectively feels this emotion. But, it's not like white people
they all like the same shit.
Different like political factions and class interests and personalities. It's like black people collectively all love and hate the same things.
So that was my introduction to Charlie Kirk was watching him do this, and then there was a little thing on the bottom that said Turning Points USA, and I found out what Turning Points USA was. I was like, oh fuck this guy.